let's just talk about induction ceremonies. So again, from what I recall from who's here, some of you, I think most have not had your induction ceremonies yet. So you've either got an open invitation right now, current, or you haven't even posted one yet. So we're all in good shape for induction ceremony. There haven't been that many ceremonies that have taken place because it's still pretty early. So lots of time left in the semester for spring invitations and induction ceremonies. Um, so they can really be very nice events. I don't know if you went to one, because we do have a lot of online ceremonies, which I will mention. I don't really have a slide for that, but we do offer online induction ceremonies. So some of you might have been inducted in one of our online ceremonies, and we still offer them, and they're still popular and they're nice also. But we're trying to move towards in person. It's been 5 years of pandemic and post-pandemic. That's of course when all the online stuff started for us. But it'd be great if you, as an officer, can help to plan and host an in-person ceremony because they are really, really nice events, especially if you're allowed to if the students are allowed to bring families, if parents can come and other family members or friends even, it can be really nice. Great. Okay. So one of the things that Danielle just put in chat is it's a lot of information there. I don't want you to get too overwhelmed by that page, but it is an induction timeline. And it's really just, I share it just to, I mention it just to show you the types of things you could be thinking about. Don't worry about the literal timeline. 3 months is a long time to be planning for something, and your ceremony might be next week. So don't worry about the 3 month thing. But there's just little bits and pieces on that page that talk about induction ceremonies and might give you some creative ideas for your ceremony. So a couple places is a link to the most important document, which is the ALD rituals. So it's on the resources page that Danielle, we've already talked about that resources page. It is there, and it's also on the induction timeline link that we just shared. So the ALD rituals is really sort of the main document you'll need just to know about what the ceremony looks like, what's it involved. So if you are helping to plan, oftentimes the advisor helps plan this too, but we'd love more student officer engagement and involvement in induction ceremonies, especially if you haven't been to one, if you were inducted online, or maybe there was no ceremony last year. I don't know, it really varies. But again, the in-person can be really nice. So wanted to share just a couple resources about the ceremony. And the rituals, that is a PDF download, is 12 pages. It's going to seem like a lot, but the first couple pages will be helpful. And then the rest of it is really just the script that you can help read, or your advisor, a couple advisors, and a couple officers would sort of follow along with the script. And we send certificates and pins, and that's what you distribute. So there's a lot of information there. I'm not really going to read it all to you or go into too much in depth with it. Mostly just wanted to share it as a resource. Okay, so these are just 3 pages. We're going to spend just a really quick second on, which is just to make sure that you're aware of them. So this is our main page for you, the officers resource page. So tons of stuff here. I'm not going to read it to you or go through it all, but I do want to point out a couple things. The pillars we talked about that were on that really nice poster. Just make sure you're familiar with the pillars. You're going to find this link really helpful for things that you could be thinking about to do on your campus as a chapter throughout the year. And then if you ever want us to meet with you, just your officer team, we're happy to do that. So I've done this a couple of times. It could be really useful if you're having maybe some challenges getting everyone all on the same page, or you're really struggling, like what are we supposed to do with ourselves as a group on campus, and you want to just chat with us, fill out this form and give me some days and times, and we'll set up a time where we can just meet one-on-one with the whole officer team. And then again, just tons of stuff to be familiar with, and you might want to just grab that page. So the second page that I've already mentioned is the pillars. So these are the 5 pillars, and then just tons of ideas. And these all are ideas that are coming from other chapters, probably including all the chapters that are here today. You might have contributed to some of those things. And then speaking of ideas, this is a spot with a lot of ideas that that other chapters do. And this is a similar page, but just not as focused on the pillars. So the last page we want to share is our, oops, that's not it. If you are curious about where all the other chapters are, though, you can go to the chapter list, but that's not what I wanted to pull up. Ah, right there. Again, similarly, these are ideas, these are scrapbook submissions by chapters that shared what they do. So academic, community service, social events, career events, fundraising. Might be, not a lot of chapters do fundraising, maybe for a cause because you do have your local fee, so that it generates funds for you. Mental health is big, team builders, officer transitions, point systems. Danielle mentioned how you can now use AMP to help track point systems. So here's some chapters with who do point systems and how they handle it. Recruitment, posters, merch, etc. So those 3, I think, can be useful for you in your role. Okay, we've talked about, oh, I cannot press buttons today. We've talked about social media. We would love a follow on Instagram. And then Danielle, do you want to mention anything about the group me?
Oh, yeah, I can. So we in the fall, I think early fall, we launched an ALD officers group me. So we've had a request from previous officers, a way to communicate with other officers across all of our different chapters, how to stay engaged post conference and just in general throughout the year. If you're having any struggles, most likely other officers at other chapters on other campuses are experiencing the same thing. So it can be a great way to communicate with one another. It's not being used very much right now, but if you're not a part of the group me and you'd like to be, just let us know and we can add you. I can send the link. But please make use of it, pose any questions or ideas that you may have. And I think if we just start getting a few people to engage with it, it could be a great way for you all to bounce ideas off of one another.